Hello, everybody. So I'm sitting down here with Alan Burns. Alan is someone that I recommend as a broker over here in my home state of New Jersey. Runs an excellent brokerage in Monmouth County, Ocean County, Middlesex area. That's Central Jersey. So what I want to do is this. I want to let Alan introduce himself and then talk about some things that might be important to you guys. We got a lot of people in our audience that are new agents, just got licensed. So Alan's going to be talking about what are some important things for for you to know when you're trying to choose a broker? So, Alan, tell us a little bit about yourself, and like I said, tell us about what you think a new agent should be asking, what they should be concerned with, some of the things that they should be looking for when interviewing new brokers.
All right, let me kind of start. I've been in real estate for 24 years, and I made a mistake when I first got my real estate license, and that was walking into the first real estate broker. First real estate broker I found, and they're like, yeah, we're going to hire you, and like I didn't know everybody got hired to be a realtor. Like I didn't know that even existed. So for 3-4 years I struggled. I didn't make it in that business, and because of the lack of leadership, accountability, opportunity, office culture, those things that caused me to basically almost drive me out of business. So 24 years later, at multiple companies, we opened our own company, and basically, those things that hampered me in the past, at my first interview, that's what we install in our offices. We install, accountability. We install opportunity. We teamwork. Those are the things that we do on a real estate. But as a real estate company or as a real estate broker, you getting your license, the first thing I'm going to recommend you do is interview 3 people. Okay, find 3 people in your market share in your market and interview. That's number 1. Number 2 is follow the rule. Don't worry about compensation, okay? The better you are at something, the more you'll get paid, okay? A lot of people, if value is more important than money at this stage of your career, okay? So if you walk into a real estate office, the 3 things you should be concerned about is number 1 is leadership. Who's the leader? What's their track record? Are they somebody that comes from contribution? Are they going to help you get to the next level? Even if there's a cost to that, you're better off doing that. Okay, and make sure their integrity is there too. I mean, you don't want to be able to invest in somebody they don't have leadership with no integrity. But if the integrity is there and they're going to help you get to the next level, that's number 1. Number 2 is opportunity. What opportunity inside the office is there? Okay, are you going to get leads? Are you going to get overflow leads? You have the tools to get leads? Do you have the systems in place to get leads? Okay. A lead without nothing, you're going to be starving. Okay. And number 3, what kind of mentorship is available to you? The best way for an agent to learn is to active learning, going on a listing appointment with another agent, going on a buyer's appointment with another agent, sitting at an open house with another agent. That's the best way to learn. And if you have to cut somebody in on it, sure, you cut somebody in at first time, second time. Remember, that integrity piece has got to be there. But if you cut somebody in, whatever, you're learning. Your first year, you're lucky. Your first year is all about survival. Get through the first year, survive and learn. The second year and third year, that's when you start building a business.
Yeah, and I think so many people start off, I think that a lot of people start off that they always come into the business, and I hear a lot of agents say, passing the test was the easy part, and now getting the business and doing all this is the hard part. And also, something that I see as a common trend is that people pick the wrong brokerage when they first start because they don't know those kinds of things that they're looking for. They don't know the culture. They don't know to look for the culture thing, the integrity, as you said. I think those are all important things. And, as far as I always coach my agents, whenever someone comes into my school or comes in contact with me, I always tell them to look for how successful those new agents are. Say to the broker, hey, do you have any new agents that you could recommend to me? Then, let me speak with them, see how they're doing. That's something that I think is really important. And I think that examining the culture is extremely important. I know something that you and I have spoken about offline frequently is how welcome I feel in your office. How whenever I come in or whenever I speak to you or whenever I speak to the group, whether it be virtually or in person, that I've never been made to feel uncomfortable, unwelcome. And it's something that I always, see that you handle yourself with integrity. So let me ask you this. What are some red flags? What are some things that if you were interviewing as a new agent that you would be concerned with, that you would say, okay, there should be some bells going off here, that this might not be the right brokerage for you? Because I think that, just as you said, you're pointing out that, hey, maybe the split might not be the most desirable. It's not the highest that you would get, but there's other intangibles that you would get. So like I said, talk to me a little bit about those red flags that would be concerning to you. Let's say you had, a son or daughter and they were going out to interview in the real estate field and you had this wealth of knowledge. What advice would you be giving them that would be concerning to you?
I mean, like the first thing is, as you get older, the more you learn the way people speak, right? Like the words that people use. Okay. So I'm always looking at words. I'm always looking, it's an interview. They're interviewing you and you should be interviewing them. Okay. You should be interviewing them. You should be prepared to interview them because this is a place, and a lot of people make you sign contracts for a period of time. Okay. You may come and go because you're an independent contractor, but if you have listings, you're going to be there with those people. You can't take them with you. So you really want to listen to the words that people say. If somebody's about me and I, or I like to hear us and contribution and culture. Like those are the words, leadership. Those are the words that I want to listen to. Okay. You also want to look at, the body language of your manager. If your manager's not all in and he's not talking to you about your goals, you might have a problem. There might be something there eventually. My partner, Dave, in my Howell office, he's getting a lot of recruits because the first thing that somebody says to, when I talk to the recruits on the checkout, they're like, you know what, Dave's the first person that ever asked me about my goals and where I want to go. Okay. Everybody else is selling me on their system and why they're the best and all that stuff. But Dave takes out a piece of paper and pen and he's like, what do you want to be? Oh, you want to be a manager one day? Oh, you want to grow a team one day? And he puts a plan together right there in that recruiting meeting. That to me is value right there. Okay. Anybody can say, I have the best systems. I have the best tools. I have this and that. No, show me what you're going to do to me. Show me how you're going to get me to the next level. That's the importance of any business here.
Yeah. And I think you hit on something that I kind of want to dial in on a little bit. You hit on the fact that Dave speaks about, and Dave being your partner over in that Howell office, he speaks about what that individual's goals are. And I always tell this story, and I'll tell it really quick. Me and my wife, we love going to restaurants. When the restaurants were open, that was our favorite thing. We used to love going out to eat. And we live down by the beach, so we love to go to, and now you would know this, but a lot of people that are listening might not because they might not be in the area. I love going to Asbury Park, going to Cookman, and going down the row of restaurants. So what happens is there's usually a maitre d' at every restaurant that's sitting outside or a hostess. And I remember one evening, and this is a common thing with me and my wife, I asked her, I said, what do you want to eat? Where do you want to go to eat? And she said to me, well, I don't really know. And I said, well, what would you like to do? She said, let's go to each place and ask for their specials. So she would go to restaurant 1, restaurant 2, restaurant 3, and we heard like a steak special. We heard like a fish special, a pasta special. And all these places told us what they're doing that day that's special to them. And they're selling us on this. And what happened was at the end of it, my wife said to me, I said, what would you like to do? She goes, I really wish that I just want a burger. And I said, well, we could have just went to each restaurant and said, hey, what kind of burgers do you have? What's your best burger? And did that. And how I relate that in the analogy to real estate is a lot of people go to each brokerage as new agents and say, sell me on Next Home, sell me on Keller Williams, sell me on EXP. And what happens is you hear all this sizzle, you hear the daily specials of that brokerage, but never at any point do they sit there and say, what is it that you want to eat? Because here's the thing. One brokerage might be a seafood place and have nothing for you, if you're a meat person. So what happens is this. I always relate that to brokerages. And I say there's a lot of times where, if my goal is to rent one rental each week, Okay. And let's say that's my goal for my first year. And you're not set up as a brokerage that handles rentals. Are you the right brokerage for me, even though you do all these amazing things?
You're 1,000% right. You're 1,000% right. Like, and you got to think of this, guys. You got to think of this from like, you're making an investment in you got a real estate license, and now you're in business. You got to get to the point where you're interviewing them and they're not interviewing you. Their job is to close you, to get them to come work for your brokerage. Hopefully that you're going to bring some business into the business so they can make money. Their job is to close you. When I was a Keller Williams team leader, I had to do 10 a month, right? And I'm not saying I would do and say anything to get you closed, but if I see an opportunity there, I was going to do whatever I needed to do to get you in the door because I needed that 10 a month. Okay. So their job is to close you, and it doesn't matter what. And their job is, they're going to say how great they are. They're number one. They're. And I'm not saying this for any company, but they all say the same thing. We have the best training. We have the best thing. No, what is it for me? How am I going to get to the next level? And if you make the wrong decision, and if you're not intentional, here's a good word. If you're not intentional about your interview, you're going to choose the wrong brokerage, and that wrong brokerage is going to cost you time and money. I've seen so many agents fail and go to referral in the first 6 to 8 months because they did not do their due diligence up front.
And you know what? That is so 100% true. They didn't do the homework ahead of time. And I think that something else that you mentioned was, taking this seriously, investing in yourself, because I see a lot of people, I know on the exam prep side, a lot of people don't opt for things like the private tutoring that I do because of pricing and things like that. And I had one person, and I'll never forget this. I had one person who signed up for 10 lessons with me. And I said, which was a big expense. And I said, why did you do that? And because I just wanted to understand, because some of my students sign up for one, sign up for two. And this was what they said to me. They said point blank, they said, I'm opening my business. I'm investing in myself. This is going to be my business. So there are going to be costs involved in that. And this is not like a job where you get, a paycheck every week and you do all this. You are opening up a small real estate business within the bigger umbrella of this. You're opening up basically a McDonald's franchise. So you have to make a decision right now. And I said this to a lot of students. You're basically making the decision, I'm going to be in the fast food business. Are you opening up an Arby's franchise? Are you opening up a McDonald's franchise? Treat this as, what are the questions you would ask them? What are the costs? Why should I choose you versus this one? Like, this is what I want to do. And you have to think about it too, as positioning yourself. And I think that day one, after they get licensed, they sign up with a brokerage, is so important. So let me ask you this question, because I think we've gone over we went over some really great topics as far as like what they should be asking, what they should gear everything towards. Day one, a good agent. How do you set yourself up, no matter what brokerage you're at? Let's say you just got your license, everything's done, ink dried. What should be day one? What should be their focus? What should they be doing as a good agent, any brokerage?
Well, what we do with our day one agents is we like to get them into the office. Listen, you may have another job, or you might be working part-time on another job, but we still want you part of the culture. We want you part of the culture. That's why we have office space, and that's why we have tools and resources for you to come in. The more you're around seasoned people, even if it's on a limited time, the more you're going to learn. So day one, you should be getting into an office. You should be mirroring and matching other people. And we have call times where people come in and make calls together. And they're actively learning. They're learning how to pick up the phone and call somebody. And even if it's their sphere of influence, they're not being afraid of the phone. Because if you're afraid of the phone in this business, you're not going to make it. For years, I was afraid of the phone. Okay, and that's crazy because I'm a high I. I talk to everybody. But I got over that. And by listening to other people. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. So you need to get in the office. You need to be around the energy. You need to be around the culture. And that's why culture is super important on what real estate company you offer. Like if you got a culture where it's 30 high producing agents and nobody's going to talk to you because you're the new guy, it's not the place for you. It's not the place for you. You want to come from that. You want to go to that place where there's culture, there's people that are willing to help, that have been where you've been, that understands that, and that's the culture. Like, to me, if somebody came into me and it was all about me, and I don't want to be around, I don't want them to work for me. I'd rather you go work somewhere else. I want you being a part of our culture so you can give back. And that'll help us grow, and that'll help you grow. The more you grow, the more the company grows, the more we all grow. So you need to be around.
I think that's so important. I think that energy is such a big thing, and that's part of the reason why, hey, I'm bringing people on to speak to my groups over on Facebook, to speak to my community that I've built, people that love hearing me in the real estate exam prep world. And I think that energy culture is super important. Now, you touched on something that I do want to expand on a little bit more, because I think that kind of going into the day one thing, I think one of the biggest fears that people have is that phone, picking up that phone and making those cold calls. And something you said was, if you are afraid of the phone, you will not make it in this business. So day one agents, and I probably have an idea as to what you're going to say as far as what will help you overcome this. But I'm curious to hear what you have to say, your input on what is going to help someone who's like, I really don't want cold calling. And what they'll do is they'll chase that. I always call it the unicorn. They'll chase the magical pill, like buying leads and doing things that are not going to generate you the business up front. And what happens is it all basically, what it does is this. I'm a big Shark Tank fan, and I realize that one of my favorite people on Shark Tank is Kevin O'Leary, because I always feel like he always throws out the thing that you don't want to hear. But then at the end, when all the dust settles, he's like, and all roads point back to Mr. Wonderful. And I think that, and I relate him in that analogy to cold calling. It's almost like, and now that you've done all your craziness, you've gotten that all out of your system, this is where you are. You have to basically have that moment where you do that. So how do you help an agent who's reluctant to get on the phones? What do you think is going to be important?
What we do here is, when we hire an agent, we get it. Not everybody wants to build their business off of cold calling, but you still got to call people, okay? So the first thing we do when we hire an agent, we make them put a list of contacts together, 25 contacts, 30 contacts, and the first call they got to do is pick up the phone and call their contacts, okay? You're just getting them used to making the phone calls, getting used to making the scheduled time to make the phone call, telling people who I am, what I'm doing. And that is, that's calling their spear, calling, hey, listen, I just got my real estate license. I just want to let you know, if you know anybody, please let me know. I need your help, that kind of thing. So that's number one, right? Then number two is, we actively work with other agents, because the best way for an agent to learn is through active learning. So what we do is we have them call the for sale by owners and interview the for sale by owners. A couple questions. I'm not looking for the listing. You're looking to sell your house. That's great. Can you tell me this, that? Great. I'm going to share that with my team. Okay. So it gets them used to making those two calls. And then the third call would be making calls with other agents that are experienced agents. So listening to other agents so they understand what's going on. So that's what we're doing here.
That's great. And you know what? I think I want to just kind of wrap it up, because I think that there's a lot of good things here, and I don't want to overwhelm these new agents, because there's, not only are they preparing for that exam, they're getting out there, they're trying to get into the field. So before I end the video, I want to just ask you if there's any parting words of wisdom that you would like to give to them, any last words of advice for anyone who's looking to get their license across the country, anything that you think. And look, potpourri, hodgepodge, throw anything out there. I don't care what you have to say.
I'm going to give you some advice. I'll give you some things. Number one, the cost of your license is nothing compared to the return you could get if you're doing the activities, okay? And you're committed to growth, okay? So my real estate license back in the day cost me $300-400, whatever it was, has made me millions of dollars in terms of sales and opened the gateway for some freedom to other opportunities. I own investment properties. I own 2 different offices. So that $200 or $300 investment that I made has had a huge return, okay? And it could have the same return for you if you invest in yourself. And that means learning,
So important.
putting money back into the business, okay? So you could really grow this at a high level. Now, is it going to be easy the first year? No, it's not going to be easy. It's going to suck, to be honest with you, unless you have the right team and support around you, okay? It's going to suck. You're going to be working 2 or 3 different jobs just to make it, or 2 jobs just to make it, until the commissions keep going in. And then sky's the limit. Because once you learn the skill, once you learn the procedures, you could do whatever you want. You could put me in Kansas, because I have the skill set, I'm going to make it. Okay. And that's the most important part of your first year, is learning the skill set. Okay. And once you learn the skill set and you have goals and you have the right support, and you have the right people to talk to, you're going to grow. And those are the people I want to surround myself with.
And you know what? I couldn't have said it any better myself, So what I want to say is this, for everyone watching, this is great advice. Alan, thank you so much for jumping on with me. I'm going to be ending the recording in a little bit. And what I want to say is this, like I said, anyone who's watching this, Alan is a part of both of our Facebook communities. So feel free to tag him on any questions that you might have as a follow-up to this conversation that we had, or just in general. Alan is someone who, he always looks to help anyone in our group that has questions that they, want to have answered before, during, their career at any point. So again, Alan, thank you so much for taking the time out. And guys, like I said, have a great one.
Real quick, can I put in a plug for you? Anybody ever struggling with any business or anything, or their test, you talk to Stuart. He's the man. He's a great guy. A like attracts like. He's just like me. He comes from contribution. He's an awesome guy. He's giving value. He's giving value to you guys. So get people to his group. Get people that want to get their real estate license. Get to them and just be part of the family. He's a great guy.
Thank you so much. And again, like I said, for all those watching on the recording, have a great one. We'll see you real soon. Hello, everybody. So I'm sitting down here with